This is Tim Gernand with Gernand Law at thedbalawyer.com. And today I want to talk about one of the most frequently asked questions that I hear from clients with a Defense Base Act claim, potential claim. How much can I get? That's a standard question that people are wanting to know. Now, it's important to go back, as I've mentioned in previous videos, that this is a workers' compensation program. So keep in mind, this is different from, say, a personal injury claim, where in a personal injury claim, you're being compensated specifically for that injury that you incurred. And of course, you may be familiar with personal injury attorneys and awards and how high some of those numbers can get in the 7 figures or higher. One of the things I like to talk to my clients about to help manage expectations is that this is a workers' compensation program, so 7-figure awards are going to be extremely rare. We will need to adjust our expectations there. Now, of course, because it is a workers' compensation program, the number one thing to look at is what was your income that you were making while working as a contractor overseas. That's the first most important number to get. Now, of course, there can be a lot of complexity there because perhaps you were working a number of different contracts and perhaps your date of injury is in dispute. And so you have to figure out what you were earning for the 52 weeks prior to that injury. And perhaps you were working for less than a year. That's something we see frequently because, of course, people go over there to work and they get injured before a year has elapsed. And then we have to figure out what their average weekly wage is. So your average weekly wage is going to be that figure that represents the amount of money that you were making for the 52 weeks prior to the injury. Now, the other factor that goes along with that is if you're currently employed or making any sort of earned income. So unearned income, such as your VA benefits, that this doesn't count in the equation at all. Or if you're receiving Social Security disability, that would not count as well. We're talking only about earned income. Then that amount has to be subtracted from the amount that you were making overseas. So, for example, if someone, and doesn't happen very frequently, but if someone were to be making as much money here in the States as they were making overseas, then your effective compensation rate would be zero. It would be zeroed out because you get to the formal hearing and they decide what your average weekly wage is. They have to take that number that you're making overseas and subtract it from what you're making now. Now, that being said, that doesn't mean that your claim is worthless. You can still have a claim and insurance companies will still settle with you. Why is that? Because of the medical treatment component of this. That's something that the insurance companies will, if you have an effective claim, that the insurance companies are on the hook to compensate you for. And the good thing about medical compensation as well is that there's no statute of limitations on that. So while there is a statute of limitations for receiving weekly compensation based off your Defense Base Act claim, you can come in many years later and file a claim exclusively for medical benefits. We have to determine your income from overseas, your earned income here, and then there's a formula that we have to run this through. And then the maximum that you can get is 2/3 of that number. So say you aren't earning anything here, no earned income after your injury, then the maximum that you could get would be 2/3 of that annual earned income that you were making overseas. And of course, that would be the amount that you would be entitled to potentially for the rest of your life, should your claim be successful. Now, of course, if you're settling your claim, then you're not going to be receiving generally an amount for the rest of your life, but that's something else that we could get into later on. Again, my name is Tim Gernand with Gernand Law at thedbalawyer.com, and looking forward to hearing from you. If you have a Defense Base Act claim or you or your loved one want to hear more about the Defense Base Act, feel free to contact us. In the description, we have a phone number and email for you to reach out. The consultation is free. So thank you.